You know, we're always told that the deepest insights are found in like these weighty books and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes the most meaningful stuff can be found in some pretty unexpected places.
Absolutely.
So today we are taking a deep dive into the transcript of Alex Jean's YouTube video for his song Matthew 18.20.
Okay, cool.
We only have the one source for this exploration, but our mission is to uncover what the key messages are within these lyrics and to give you a quick but insightful understanding of, what the artist is trying to communicate.
Yeah, what's so compelling about this is, how a modern song can really engage with these age-old themes.
Yeah.
And the central idea here really revolves around this idea of faith and the presence of the divine.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really anchored by this repeated line from Matthew 18.20,
Okay.
which is when we come in your name, we coming in.
Yeah.
And this really suggests this foundational belief that, when two or more are gathered in his name, there's this divine presence there.
Right. So let's unpack the journey a little bit.
Right.
Because these lyrics seem to describe a real journey.
Right.
There's a distinct contrast between a past life. He's got lines in there like, I ain't with the block, and
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be T.I. with the rock. And then in contrast to that, he's got, I've been serving the Lord and I know he on time.
Right.
What does T.I. with the rock signify in this context?
So that phrase likely refers to like street life and potentially drug-related activities.
Sure.
The rock being,
Right.
and this juxtaposition really highlights a huge personal evolution,
Yeah.
a turning away from this one way of life and turning towards a life that's centered on faith. And this is, a really powerful reflection of how people are searching for redemption or a new path.
Yeah. And beyond the shift, the lyrics are full of these really powerful images that just drive these themes home.
Oh, for sure.
He says, Bible on me, which seems to suggest a constant connection to Scripture.
Yeah.
And then the metaphor of splitting the sea, that's a pretty potent biblical reference.
Absolutely. Splitting the sea is this huge allusion to Moses.
Right.
It represents God's ultimate power and deliverance in the Judeo-Christian tradition.
Yeah.
So it adds this very significant layer of meaning.
And then you've got lines like, walk in the church, I ain't paying the fee.
Right.
Which seems to suggest this, direct and unmediated access to faith.
Right.
And then you've got this idea of having the arm of God, which seems to convey this huge sense of divine protection.
Oh, yeah.
But then it seems like the lyrics also acknowledge the challenges of maintaining faith.
Right.
He's got the line, life is going to get hard, followed immediately by, I still remain faithful.
Exactly. It acknowledges, that life is hard.
Yeah.
But despite these struggles, you can still have this resilient faith.
Yeah.
And then he also mentions this spiritual opposition.
Yeah.
Where he says, devil still tried, came I that little to the cur, because I came in with my...
Yeah.
Which really emphasizes his commitment to staying true to the cross, despite all of these external pressures.
Yeah. The lyrics also touch on community, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You've got phrases like, we deep and we like three right now, cozy, just like fam.
Right.
Which seem to echo the sentiment of Matthew 18.20 about, believers coming together.
Yeah. And what's so fascinating here is how directly the lyrics connect this idea of individual experience of faith with the communal aspect that's emphasized in Matthew 18.20.
Right.
It really brings that scripture to life in a contemporary and personal way.
Yeah, and that personal transformation is really underlined by the line, I was looking for change and they want me to pay, but I knew that his mercy was free.
Right.
It encapsulates this whole journey of searching for change.
Yeah.
And ultimately finding it through faith, not through, material means.
Exactly. The lyrics really concisely narrate this movement from searching to finding, highlighting the transformative power of this divine grace that's freely given.
So for you listening, this deep dive into Alex Jean's lyrics reveals this pretty compelling journey of faith. It emphasizes the power of the divine presence, especially in community.
Yeah.
This resilience in the face of challenges, and ultimately this profound personal transformation that's found through grace.
Exactly. And this brings up a final thought for you listening.
Okay.
How might different forms of creative expression like music offer these unexpected but profound insights into your own personal beliefs and the search for meaning in your life?
That's a good question.
And what other unconventional sources might hold even deeper understanding for you?
Great question. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see all you listeners next time for another deep dive.
Bye.